Hi, welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to go through one of the most important things in music, not just for practice, but also for its practicality. These are called major scales. A lot of us have started playing our major scales, but we still have a few more notes to learn in them. So, I'm going to go through the process of how major scales are built and what they look like on a piece of music. So, let's get started. So, lots of times we like to start with the basics of singing. Um, and in this case, a major scale is what we call this is our solfege part of our major scale. I'm sure you've seen this before, but just in case you haven't, it goes do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If you were to sing it, it would be like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, and in when you're playing an instrument, it looks a little bit different. So I'm going to show you how it works. So this right here is a C major scale. These are all the notes represented in what we call the C major scale. And you'll notice a few things in it, but I'm going to go through all the different things you can look at. So you can count these in numbers. So a scale has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps. Okay. And I'm just going to put the solfege syllables under here just so you can see how it all lines up. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Excellent. One of the things you'll notice is that we start on a do and we end on a do. But in our instrument case, right, if we want to use the letters, you'll see that we start on a C and we end on a C. That's just because we have a low C and then a high C. And that's what a scale is all about. You go from a letter all the way up to the next rotation of the letter in our musical alphabet. And let me show you how it works on the piano. Piano is a great tool. I love teaching kids on the piano. It's great because it lays everything out for you. So this is what a piano looks like. If you'll notice, we have the musical alphabet, which I'm sure you guys are all aware of. We go from A to G, and then it recycles, right? And so on and so forth. So once we get to G, we start back over at A. But for this one, we're going to look at what we call the C major scale. Okay. Now, scales are built up of two things, what we call whole steps and half steps. Okay. A whole step is when you go two half steps. So let me show you. So it would be going like from a C to a D because you're skipping over this black note, right? But a half step would be going like F to F sharp because they are next door neighbors, right? Whereas when you have C and D, you have to go through C sharp and then D. So the whole steps will be in blue and the half steps will be in red, just so you can see what it looks like. Now here's the most important part. All major scales have the same design pattern, and this is what it looks like. Now the W's, or the blue, will stand for whole steps, and the red, H, stands for half steps. So it's whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay? I want you to say it with me. Okay? We'll go through it one more time. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay? So we have our piano back. And what we're going to do is we're going to spell out the C major scale. So we're going to go from C to D. It's a whole step. D to E. It's another whole step. Now, if you look right here, we're coming up on our first half step. And if you'll notice, look, there's no black key in the middle of E to F. So these are next door neighbors. That's our half step. Whole step, F to G. Another whole step, G to A. Our final whole step, A to B. And finally, we have the last half step. And you'll notice no black key in the middle, so we have to go B to C. There you go. And that's it. We go from C to C. So hopefully this makes sense. It can be a little confusing at first, but with some practice, it will continue to make sense. So maybe you're wondering, what would it be like for my instrument if I wanted to play a scale? Well, if you play the clarinet or you play the trumpet, this is the scale that you learned first. It's called the C major scale. But if you play the alto saxophone, your major scale is the G major scale. So let's go through it real quick. Here is our pattern. Whole, whole, half. Whole, 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 half. So we're going to start on G right here. G to A, whole step. A to B, whole step. You'll notice we have our first half step. So it's going to be B to C because there's no black key in the middle. Whole step, C to D. Whole step, D to E. This is a tricky one, right? Because this E to F is a half step because there's no black key in the middle. So we need to make sure for this whole step, we have to go not to F, but to F sharp. And then finally, we have our next half step from F sharp to G. And there you have it. Start on G, end on G. Last but not least, we have what we call the B flat major scale. So if you're a flute player, a trombone player, or a glockenspiel player, that's our bell kits, we start out on the B flat major scale. Okay, this one can be a little tricky, but watch closely, okay? Here's our pattern one last time. So for our first whole step, we can't go to B natural because that's a half step away. So we need to skip all the way to C. Then we have another whole step, C to D. Now we have our first half step, right? Instead of going to E, right, we have to go up to our next door neighbor. That's E flat. Then we have a whole step. Can't go to E because that's a half step away. We got to go to F. Whole step to G. Then whole step to A. And then last but not least, we have our red H, our half step, A to B flat. And that's it. That's how you start on B flat and end on B flat. And if you play it, it will sound just like if you would sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay? So I hope this makes sense. Feel free to watch this video twice if you have to. It can get pretty complicated, but I look forward to teaching it to you all this year on your instruments. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.